Tony Whitehair. I'm the Ag and Natural Resources Agent for Dickinson County. I'm out here with the Marion County Ag Agent Ricky Roberts. We're looking at their wheat plot here just east of Hillsboro and trying to determine if we have any freeze damage from the cold temperatures last week. With the freeze damage, what we're looking at here is the development of the plant, the heads within the stems. Temperature-wise, the closest recordings that we have from K-State data was from gypsum. They showed a low of about 20 degrees on the 10th of April and then about 24 degrees on the 14th and 15th. What we see with those temperatures at this growth stage, we're somewhere between jointing and flag leaf emergence on these varieties out here. With those growth stages in the back of our minds, when we get below that 27 degrees threshold is when we potentially start seeing some damage. What we've seen out here and looking at the heads, we think that we had good enough canopy cover that insulated those growing points, and we're not seeing a whole lot of freeze damage. What I'm thinking where we will start to see some of the freeze damage is some on some later wheat that was planted, maybe on bean ground, that perhaps didn't have the good canopy and protection from those cold temperatures. So that's where I would also be looking at for freeze damages, is some of that later planted stuff. All right, so what we're going to show you here is how to identify potentially where that wheat head would be in your stem. And so we're looking here at one of our individual plants. You can see the node right there, and then there's another node just above it that I'm not sure if you can pick out the green color there, but if you take your finger and run along, you can feel the bump there where that node's going to be. So that wheat head's going to be somewhere around that top node. So we'll take our sharp razor blade knife and we'll start at the first node and start splitting going up. Hit the second node there and keep splitting. So then where we cut there, we'll tear that open. So here's our wheat head, not being very cooperative. So you can see this one's a little bit farther behind compared to some of the other ones that we have out here in the field today. But so far these are all looking nice and green, or even if there's little white colors, nothing to be too worried about. So here we're looking at some of the wheat heads of the different varieties out here in the plot. I have my pocket knife there showing just kind of scale the size of the heads. So far what we're seeing is they all look pretty healthy, pretty green. The small one here on the end, I'll zoom in a little bit, is just a variety that's a little bit behind maturity wise. When we first cut that open, it was white inside with a green base. That's typically what you see during that growth stage. As it matures and gets bigger, like the ones next to it, it'll develop that green color. So right now everything's looking pretty positive as far as potential freeze damage is going. So now we're looking at some of just the cosmetic damage here from the freeze. You can see kind of the tips of these leaves are kind of burnt back. But right now that's just more cosmetic, and as our wheat crop continues to mature, that shouldn't be anything that indicates any yield loss. I'm on my way back right now from Marion County, down there looking at the extension test plot with their agent Ricky Roberts, and I stopped here at our southernmost plot that we have here in Dickinson County, located about 1200 Avenue and Highway 15. I'm gonna take a look and see what we have for potential freeze damage here. This plot was planted kind of towards the middle to tail end of October, so it may be just far enough back in development that it wasn't affected as much by the freeze, but we'll take a look and see what we have. As you can see here in our plot in Dickinson County, we do have some burning of the leaf tips. Like I said earlier, that is just a little bit of cosmetic damage caused by the freeze that we had the other night. I'll cut open a few of these plants and see what we have for some internal damage. Here's a close-up of one of the more early maturing varieties we have out there. As you can see, the head is not very well developed, but it still has good color to it. If you were to see any damage, it would kind of be brownish to maybe black, and it would be kind of more I guess, easiest way to put it would be a mushy consistency. So right now things are looking pretty good, but like I said, this was planted towards the middle of the tail end of October, so some of the earlier wheat around the area might have been a little farther along, potentially for damage. So what we're looking at here is a map that was developed for the weekly agronomy update that is sent out every Friday. It was compiled using weather data from the Maisonette stations across the state, and so it kind of measures the risk of freeze injury based off of the temperatures that were recorded, and it gives that information for each county as a whole. Now, one thing that you may notice is parts of the counties might be colder than others, so it gets you pretty close, but it may not be completely accurate. So what we're looking at as we start in kind of the southwest portion of the state around Finney, Haskell counties, and we move diagonally across the state to the northeast, there's a band in there of your darkest color, and that would be considered your highest risk areas for freeze damage based off those temperatures. For Dickinson County, we're right on the edge, and the color designation they give us is moderate to high risk. Parts of the southern and southeast part of the county might not be as impacted as the western and northwest parts as that butts up against Saline and Ottawa counties. Saline and Ottawa counties show kind of the end of the high risk area, and so some of those temperatures in those regions might have dipped down low enough to cause more freeze damage.